we're very privileged to live as martial artists in this age. This is, in my opinion, is the most exciting time for a martial artist to be alive that I'm aware of. Maybe in ancient Greece, maybe they had something with pancreation that was more exciting than this. But you'd have to show me some pretty damn good evidence.
If you could take Gordon Ryan and bring him back to ancient Greece, he would fuck those dudes up. Do you know how easy it would be? You know how amazing it would be? All those guys would line up, bring their champions, and they'd be like, what is he doing?
In general, I would agree with you. As a general rule, I believe that later generations almost always beat earlier generations. Like Jesse Owens was a great sprinter, but Usain Bolt will destroy him in a foot race. There's just no getting around
The
that.
only place where I make exceptions is boxing, because I think there are boxers from the old era that just would be spectacular no matter what. I think Muhammad Ali would be, especially when he was Cassius Clay before he was stripped of his title. You take the guy who beat Cleveland Big Cat Williams, and I think he boxes with almost anybody of any era. I think he's just amazing. Marvin Hagler. I think you could take Marvin Hagler, stick him in with any middleweight champion of all time and any time in any era of boxing, and you're just dealing with a champion. I mean, it's just because there's not much difference in boxing. Like you see some unique approaches like Floyd Mayweather and his shoulder roll and his incredible defense. And you see it, we were talking before this podcast when we were talking about Canelo Alvarez, how he learned from the Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yes.
His head movement. And so you're seeing these steps where they're learning. But go back to Willie Pep. We'll go back to Pernell Whitaker. I mean, Pernell Whitaker had spectacular defense.
Agreed, yeah.
I mean,
I hear you, Joe, and I think there's some good arguments to suggest that you may be onto something here. Let's look, for example, at Sugar Ray Leonard versus Floyd Mayweather's father, which was a classic fight, by the way.
Yes,
wonderful,
amazing
match.
fight.
Now, you get to see just how good Sugar Ray Leonard was in the 1980s with that match. Now, you could make the argument, as Sugar Ray Leonard does to this day, that Floyd Mayweather isn't that much better than his father was, that they're of comparable skill level. And you could argue on that basis, exactly as you said, that maybe some of those guys from the 1980s would have gone against the best guys of this generation and done just fine. The difficulty, of course, that it's difficult to measure combat sports.
Yes.
In the case of Olympic sprinting, there's an obvious measurement here, time, and so you see the progress more clearly. Nonetheless, as a general rule, I do think even in combat sports, earlier generations tend to lose to later generations in most cases. There could be some exceptions, but I think, for example, if Kimura, who was the greatest judo player of his generation, went up against Yamashita, even if you took away the size difference, I just think Yamashita wins. He just knows more. He's just had the benefits of the insights of one generation pile upon the next and the next and the next. They create a compounding effect in learning where the athletes from a later generation start from a higher point than their predecessors did. And so as a general rule, I'll always favor the more recent generations over previous generations. But to your credit, I do think there are some exceptions in combat sports more than other sports.
I agree with you as a general rule. The exception I make is boxing. The reason why I make that exception in boxing is because I don't think the progress has been as spectacular as it's been in martial arts, and I don't think the approach is as comprehensive as it is in grappling or clearly in mixed martial arts.
Interesting.
In mixed martial arts, I don't think there's any argument whatsoever that 93 compared to, like, I was just watching one of the fights from the early UFCs, and it's almost comical, the difference in the level of skill today from just debut athletes that are just starting out. But boxing, if you take like the Roberto Duran, who beat Sugar Ray Leonard at 147 pounds, which wasn't even his best weight class. His best weight class when he beat Ken Buchanan at 135 pounds. I mean, that one, he was a savage. I mean, that lightweight Roberto Duran is one of the greatest boxers that ever lived. But boxing is two hands, a variety of techniques applied in a bunch of different ways, but it's just two hands. You have defense that's applied in a bunch of different ways. You have an understanding of distance and timing and how to feint and throw that timing off and head movement and being able to anticipate which direction attacks are coming. All that stuff was already understood. It was already understood with Joe Louis. It was already understood with Sugar Ray Robinson. and it's just different approaches in terms of the ability to prepare an athlete. More scientific approach in terms of nutrition, rest, recovery, all those different things. But there's something to be said for hard-nosed, disciplined warrior training camps, like the kind that Rocky Marciano used to go through, like the kind that Sugar Ray Robinson used to go through. I mean, these guys they were young enough so that they probably didn't apply the same sort of rules that a strength and conditioning coach would apply today. But you guys don't apply those rules. You guys train 7 days a week. So you guys fly in the face of that.
It's
right?
true.
It's true. There's something to be said for just hard work and discipline.
I love the examples that you're using from boxing in terms of their conditioning program. If you look at the history of boxing, all of those boxers you mentioned grew up in a generation where the most important part of modern boxing was completely absent. The most important part of modern boxing training is pad work.
Ooh. When did they start pad work?
I believe it was the early 1980s.
Wow.
So people like Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Robinson, never trained on pads.
Isn't that crazy
Didn't even know what
of?
they were. So many of the greatest boxers of all time, Willie Pep, none of them trained on pads.
You're blowing my mind because I never thought of that before. I literally never thought of that.
Isn't that fascinating?
That's so fascinating.
And yet now, the majority of boxing training is done on the pads. Like it's literally a revolution in boxing training. And you got to ask yourself, what was the difference? What did they do back then? And you see there was probably a lot more emphasis on sparring. That sparring was
and heavy bag
the
work.
focus. Yeah.
That's crazy. I wonder who was the first guy to figure out pads.
It's a fascinating question. I've never seen a definitive answer to it.
I literally never thought that until today, until right now.
Yeah.
Like when
And
was
the
the
other
first
big
time I
question
saw
you got to
that?
ask yourself is, were Western boxers the first people to use pads, or was Thailand before them? Because they used their own version of pads for kicks.
Yeah.
Did the Thais come first with kick pads, or did the Western boxing coaches come first with hand pads? These are both interesting questions, and I don't know the answer to either.
It's a very good question. It's interesting how the Thais sort of devised this strategy of training. It's a different strategy of training.
Yes.
Like they're all about, like, the idea of training Thai without pads is like, it's alien.
Yeah, yeah. And I think the idea of training boxing in 2020 without pads is also alien.
Yeah. Well, Julio Cesar Chavez never hit the speed bag. There's a funny video of him trying to hit the speed bag. He doesn't know how to do it. And this was when he was the best in the world.
You imagine some guy looking at him going, man, that guy sucks. Look at him, look at him on the speed bag.
But
he doesn't know what he's doing.
He was laughing about it. He was going like, ha,
yeah.
like.
I mean, when you think about it, what actual relationship between boxing, punching, as done in a fight, and speed bag is there?
None.
And yet?
And yet it's a
and
thing.
yet guys do that all day, every day.
Like, who punches anybody like this ever? It's so strange. It's such a strange way to...
How did that become an institution?
We're weird.
Didn't someone say, like, hey, coach, I've never hit anyone like that in my life. Why are you making me do this?
Yeah.
I just look at that's all Rocky does in the thing. He only hits that and meat. The rest of it, he's not doing anything.
Doesn't he hit? He doesn't hit a heavy bag.
He's just meat in the meat locker, and then he's doing push-ups and running. That's it.
And sit-ups. Yeah. The meat thing. Terrible technique, Rocky. It's funny. Go back and watch those old movies. You're like, hey, you straighten that up, man. Yeah. Come on.
And yet, those crazy old movies probably started more people boxing and doing martial arts than all of the technically perfect demonstrations of boxing technique in actual sports. I'm sure more people started boxing watching Rocky than by watching Roberto Duran actually box.
That's absolutely true. I'm sure.
Same thing with Bloodsport and martial arts. I mean, you look at Bloodsport, it's like a comedy show. And yet, like, how many people started out of Bloodsport? More than started by watching the UFC, I'm quite certain.
Yeah. I think if you could go back in martial arts and trace like what started more people in martial arts, I think it's Bruce Lee. I would think it's Bruce Lee.
I think you might be right about that.
Yeah, because that's what started me.
Yeah.